What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, the quarterback situation in Detroit, the quarterback controversy in Detroit has been a thing for quite a long time. Matthew Stafford, the Detroit Lions fans have a ton of questions. They always question Matt Stafford. They always question, is he good enough? Is he the right guy? Has he been here too long? Why doesn't he have playoff wins? Is he the problem? Is the team the problem? How much time does he have? How much help should we give him? How long does he have? How much time do we give him before he wins a playoff game? And on and on and on, and questions pile up continuously on Matt Stafford and the quarterback situation as a whole in Detroit. And today I wanted to go over the quarterback situation. Not only go over Matt Stafford, talk about his accolades, talk about the level he's playing at and whether he is a good enough quarterback to take the Lions to where they want to be, but also talk about the future, talk about the draft picks, talk about the draft, talk about where we should take a quarterback in the draft, if we should be taking one at all, and overall go over the quarterback situation and the potential successor and the potential of finding a successor for Matt Stafford in this offseason. Now, before we get into the video, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, please consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes only 2 seconds out of your day to do so. It helps the channel out more than you can know. I'd be super appreciative for it. So if you could take those 2 seconds to like and subscribe, and maybe even a third one to turn on post notifications so you never miss a video, I'd be super appreciative for it. But with all of that being said, and without any further ado, let's get into evaluating the Lions quarterback position and the potential of finding a successor for Matt Stafford. Now, first off, I want to go over Matt Stafford, right? Because before we look to the future, before we look to the next quarterback, I want to evaluate our quarterback, the quarterback we have now, talk about how much time he has left, how he's playing right now, and whether or not he can still be an effective quarterback for the next couple of years. Now, Matt Stafford this year was playing at a top 10 level yet again as a quarterback. He was 10th in yards per attempt. He was 5th in yards per reception for his receivers. He was 12th in yardage overall. He was 12th in touchdowns overall as he threw for 4,084 yards, 26 touchdowns to just 10 interceptions, while missing a significant amount of time, about a game's worth of snaps by, via injury or via just being pulled from the game a little early because it was over. There's a couple different reasons he missed snaps this season, but if he did get all those snaps, he would have had much better statistics and would have been much higher on the list, would have been much higher on the leaderboards when it comes to yards and touchdowns. I mean, if you look at Matt Stafford's per games, per receptions, per attempts, all of that, he is a top 10 quarterback. He is playing at a top 10 level, and especially after starting the season a little rough, a little rocky, he finished this season incredibly strong under interim head coach Darrell Bevell. So I have no doubt that he is a top 10 quarterback. I have no doubt that we can win with Matt Stafford. I have no doubt that he is a tough quarterback. He's going to be out there every Sunday that it can be. He's going to be there fighting for his teammates, fighting for his team. He is a top quarterback in the NFL. He is one of the best quarterbacks this league has, and every single week he goes out and shows it over and over and over again. And at least to me, Matt Stafford is not the problem. Matt Stafford puts up all the statistics, and people like to rip on him for putting up stats and all that, but he does his job. He does what he is supposed to do. He does what he gets paid to do, and that's not something every Lions player can say at the moment. So, Matt Stafford to me isn't the problem. He has struggled a little bit with injuries the past couple of years, has missed a little bit of time, but he's shown his toughness over and over again. I believe he finished the season starting in Week 17 with nothing to play for. He had 3 different injuries walking into that game and still played the entire game and still played very, very well. Still had some very nice throws, threw a very good football in Week 17, dealing with a thumb, a rib, and a ankle injury all at the same time. He played phenomenally this season. He played very, very well. If he was able to stay healthy the entire season, he would have been top 10 in just about every passing category. And for me, Matt Stafford still has a couple good years left. Even through the injuries, he's still playing at a top level. Even while being injured, he's playing at a top level. And I think the offense is getting better around him. I think the offensive line has a couple holes still, but is improving steadily. I think he's getting a much better run game when it comes to DeAndre Swift and Kerryon Johnson being 2 young, very good, very talented running backs. We'll see how his receiving corps shakes up in the offseason. Obviously, there's a lot of people in free agency, a lot of people moving on, a lot of people going to different teams, and a lot of people being free agents. So we'll see how his receiving corps shakes up. But for the most part, his surrounding cast, at least on the offense, is getting better at protecting him and taking some of the load off of of his shoulders and, kind of distributing the load across the entire offense. Now, when it comes to the draft, right, when it comes to draft picks, when it comes to the successor of Matt Stafford, a lot of people believe we should take a quarterback at number 7 overall. A lot of people think that we're sitting at 7, we're sitting in the top 10, there are good quarterback prospects in the top 10, and we should take one. Whether that be one of the couple that have declared, whether that be maybe Lawrence falls for some reason, maybe Justin Fields falls, or Trey Lance, or, Zach Wilson. A lot of those guys are guys that a lot of people want us to take in the top 10. A lot of Lions fans like Zach Wilson. A lot of Lions fans like Trey Lance. A lot of Lions fans like Justin Fields. A lot of Lions fans like people in the top 10, in the top 7 that we can take and groom behind Stafford for before a year or two. And then when Stafford retires, when Stafford moves on, when Stafford's not on the team anymore, then that rookie can take over. Not the rookie anymore. Then the successor can take over. Then the successor can lead the Lions to where they want to be and hopefully get this team in a better position than where they are right now. And while I don't think that philosophy, I don't think that idea is a bad one per se, I just don't think that the value for quarterback is right in the top 7, especially considering some of the other quarterbacks we might be able to get later in the draft and some of the other talent that we could get early in the draft. You look at some of the quarterbacks that are going to be good, the quarterbacks that are going to go decently high, day 2 guys that are still very talented and very good as a quarterback, but might not have the most hype, might not be expected to go the highest in the draft. I mean, for one, you have Kyle Trask, who I'm very high and I think the Lions should draft if he is there in the 2nd or 3rd round. You got Mac Jones, the quarterback from Alabama, who's projected to go in the middle, late of the 2nd round. You have Jamie Newman, who's expected to go a little later in the draft, who was a very hyped up prospect going to Georgia and ended up opting out for this season. I mean, you have Sam Ehlinger, a very experienced Texas quarterback who I don't like very much, but I know some other people do. You have Kellen Mond from Texas A&M, who a lot of people are very high on. You have Ian Book, Tanner Morgan. You even have Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State. Like, there are a lot of good, high potential quarterbacks late in the NFL draft where, to me, it doesn't make sense to force yourself to draft a quarterback early just to get that quarterback when you could get Kyle Trask on day 2. You can get Mac Jones on day 2. You could get Jamie Newman on day 3, Sam Ehlinger, Kellen Mond, Spencer Sanders, Ian Book, Tanner Morgan. You can get all those guys on day 3, and all of those guys have potential to be very good players, very good quarterbacks in the NFL. A lot of them have things a lot of those guys have things they gotta iron out. A lot of those guys have issues that they need to clean up, and some of those guys have limitations that you're just gonna have to work around. But every single person on that list, every single quarterback I just mentioned, has a lot of skill set, has a lot of potential as an NFL quarterback, and with a year or two of development behind Matt Stafford, with a year or two to sit, especially for Kyle Trask, especially for Mac Jones, they could be very good NFL quarterbacks. They could be very good players and be very good to lead this team into the future. They can be the successor to Matt Stafford without missing a beat if we draft those guys. For the Detroit Lions, they have so many problems that I'm not convinced taking one at number 7 would be the correct option. And, I don't think it's necessarily a bad option to take a quarterback at 7. I don't think it's a bad option. And in fact, I think it would be a very good thing for the Lions to draft Matt Stafford's successor this year. However, to me, Micah Parsons and Kyle Trask is more valuable than Zach Wilson and Zaven Collins. Gregory Rousseau and Mac Jones is better to me than Justin Fields and Azeez Ojulari. To me, it makes more sense to take a linebacker or a very good defensive player in the 1st round because that's where the Lions struggled this year, right? The Lions were 32nd in yards allowed and they were 32nd in points allowed. They were by far the worst defense in the NFL, and it doesn't matter if you have a quarterback. It doesn't matter if you have a good offense. If you have the worst defense in the NFL, you're going to be a bad franchise. So for me, you got to draft a defensive player in the 1st round. You have to, whether it be, Kwity Paye, whether it be Gregory Rousseau, Micah Parsons, whether that be, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. There's a lot of good defensive players. There's a lot of good players. And you can even trade down. The number 7 pick has a lot of value. You could trade down. In one of my mock drafts that I just put up on my Instagram and one that'll be on screen now, I traded down twice from the top 7 and got a lot of real good picks and a lot of very good players and still got a really nice developmental quarterback in Kyle Trask to sit behind Stafford for a year, develop and learn, and then maybe take over when Stafford leaves next year or the year after that. I just don't think that forcing yourself to draft a quarterback at number 7 is the right thing to do, especially if, a guy like Micah Parsons is on the board, especially if, some of the top defensive players are still there. I don't think drafting a quarterback and forcing yourself into a quarterback in the top 10 is worth it just to get that successor, just so you have a better starting prospect. because we're not getting a prospect, we're not getting a quarterback to start day one, we're getting a quarterback to start year two. We're getting a quarterback that's going to start in year three and have a lot of development, have a lot of time to polish some of the things that they need to work on. You know, I'm not going to be drafting Zach Wilson to start day one. If I'm going to draft a quarterback, I'm going to draft a guy that's going to sit behind Stafford for 2 years and develop. And for me, I'm not drafting a guy in the top 10 to sit for 2 years. For me, especially with the point where my defense is as the worst defense in the NFL, I'm taking the best defensive player available. And in the second, third round, I can worry about a developmental quarterback. You know, I can worry about maybe wide receivers if we don't get enough in free agency. I can worry about some of these other positions that aren't immediate needs right now. You know, I can afford to worry about some of those positions later because I need to fix the defense. The Lions, in my opinion, cannot afford to take a quarterback with their first round pick. In my opinion, the Lions cannot afford to take Zach Wilson. They cannot afford to take Justin Fields. Maybe Justin Fields if he's available, but I don't think he'll fall to number 7. You know, if Zach Wilson is there at number 7, I don't think you take him. I think you trade down. If Trey Lance is available at number 7, I don't think you take him. I think you trade down or you draft Micah Parsons or the best defensive player you have on your board, because this team needs a defense for anything to go forward. And for this team, development of the defense while Matt Stafford is still playing at a high level is more important than drafting Stafford's successor in the first round. That's not saying we don't draft a successor. That's not saying we don't get Kyle Trask. That's not saying we don't get Mac Jones. That's not saying we don't get Tanner Morgan or Kellen Mond or one of the other guys that might be on a day 2, day 3 kind of a pick. But I don't think we pick a quarterback at number 7. I don't think we can afford to pick a quarterback at number 7, because by the time we get to the second round, a lot of the defensive talent, a lot of the top defensive talent is going to be gone from this NFL draft, whereas the quarterback is going to be there for quite a long time after. You know, the quarterback position is going to last on the board a lot longer than the top defensive talent, and I think from that standpoint, it's just a matter of perspective. If we get a quarterback, if we get the next Patrick Mahomes, right? Say we get the next Patrick Mahomes. Say we draft Zach Wilson, and he's the next Patrick Mahomes. He's the greatest quarterback you've ever seen. He throws dots. He gets, you know, a lot of stats, he gets a lot of accolades. He wins maybe MVP one year. He goes off. He has a very good start to his NFL career. If Zach Wilson has to play with the 32nd defense in the NFL, the worst defense in the NFL, the Lions still aren't going to win football games. The Lions still aren't going to the playoffs. The Lions still aren't going to do anything memorable with the worst defense in the NFL. And for that reason, I have to draft defense in the first round. I have to wait for a quarterback, because a quarterback right now and a quarterback for the Lions is not going to be as effective as a complete team. A quarterback is not going to be as effective and as useful as a defense is going to be. So for that reason, the Lions can't draft a quarterback at 7. And for that reason, that's why the Lions won't draft in the top 10. That's why the Lions won't draft a quarterback in the top 10, is because they can't afford it to do so. Now, with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. I wanted to evaluate the quarterback situation. I wanted to go over it because I know it's been a big controversy within the city of Detroit with a bunch of Lions fans. It's been controversy back and forth. We should keep Stafford. We should trade Stafford. We should get rid of him. We should keep him. It's been back and forth for a very long time. And I think there's a lot of different ways the Lions can go with it. However, I don't believe drafting a quarterback in the top 10 is the move. I don't think it's the right thing for the Lions to do. I don't think it's the thing that's going to save this franchise. And unfortunately, I don't think that drafting a quarterback is what the Lions need right now. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys think about the quarterback situation? What do you guys think about drafting a quarterback in the top 10, waiting for day 2? I'd be very curious to see where you guys stand with that. But with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all tomorrow with more Lions content. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.